Hey guys, I'm Hellhound. Welcome to the Midnight Spook Show here on the Horror and Metal channel. We're going to go and do a movie review today, so let's go and take a look at the Psycho series. As you probably know, I'm a huge fan of the Psycho movies, and I have reviewed the original film from 1960, directed by the legendary Alfred Hitchcock, who, if you're a horror fan, obviously you know what Psycho is, at least I hope so. And that's the only movie I reviewed in the series. It's the original, it's a classic, it's a masterpiece. I saw it at the drive-in a couple years ago around Halloween time, and it was awesome. Love that movie. Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh, everybody's great in it. It's just magnificent. It's like a flawless film. Great twist at the end. Awesome, the shower scene, of course, so iconic. Just such a masterpiece. And what more can I say about it that hasn't already been said a billion times? It's been praised up and down, and rightfully so, because it's one of the best movies ever to come out of the horror genre, or cinema in general. But let's go ahead and look at the first sequel, Psycho 2. I've got all the movies here on VHS. Of course, the original classic, which everybody knows and loves, Psycho 2. That's the one we're going to review today. Psycho 3, which is pretty good too. Not as good as the first two, but still pretty good. Kind of more like a generic standard slasher film. And Psycho 4, which is my least favorite. It's kind of a prequel because there's a lot of flashbacks to Norman's childhood, which is interesting. We see a lot more of his mother, played by Olivia Hussey. But we'll get to that eventually. Today we're going to just talk about Psycho 2, because we'll get to the sequels, the other sequels, eventually. But yeah, Psycho 2 from 1983, directed by Richard Franklin. Now, if you've seen the first movie, spoiler alert, I guess, at the end it's revealed that Norman Bates, who owns the Bates Motel, supposedly along with his mother, who lives in the big, huge house right behind the motel, I should say, it's revealed that he's totally insane. He's been keeping his dead mother in the attic of his house, and pretty soon after that, the fruit cellar. So, and so she's a corpse, and he's been living both their identities. He's got schizophrenia. He lives as his mother and as Norman. They have conversations and everything. He murders his mother years ago, and he lost his mind, and now he thinks he is his mother sometimes. And all the murders that were done in the first film were done by his mother persona, which is actually him. His other personality, that is, pretending that he was her. So, but anyway, Psycho 2 takes place 22 years. It should be 23, but it says in the movie multiple times that it's 22 years. Norman Bates was locked up in an asylum. He's just been released and deemed sane, much to the protests of Lila Loomis, formerly Lila Crane, the sister of the late Marion Crane, who was murdered by Norman in the first movie. Lila Loomis, who actually married Sam Loomis, who's a character in the first movie, Marion's boyfriend, she doesn't think he should be released. She thinks he should still be held responsible for those horrific murders he committed, and shouldn't be allowed to get back into society. So, yeah, not happy about it. So she tries to stop it from happening, but to no avail. So anyway, he goes back to the motel, back to his house and everything. He fires the guy running the hotel because he's like doing illegal things, drugs and prostitution and God knows what else. And he gets a job at a local diner. So pretty cool setting for a horror film, of course. And then he befriends young Mary Samuels. Now where have we heard that before? Sounds kind of like Marie Samuels, if you've seen the first movie. I don't know. But anyway, she's played by Meg Tilly, Jennifer Tilly's older sister. And basically the plot of the movie is more people end up being killed. So what's going on? Is Norman become a homicidal maniac once again? Is he back to the way he was at killing people once again? Is somebody else doing it, trying to frame him? Have they succeeded in driving him crazy? Lila Loomis is intent on putting him back behind bars. What's going on? There's a lot of mysteries, a lot of plot twists. I think the twists aren't nearly as clever as the first movie, of course, but still make for a very engaging and entertaining watch. Now, this movie is nowhere near the masterpiece that the first one was, but I think it's a very, very good follow-up. I highly recommend it. It's definitely the best of the sequels, and I think it's really interesting to see Norman's story continue. Anthony Perkins gives a great performance, once again, as Norman, an older Norman. Meg Tilly as Mary is a good character, and it's pretty neat that Vera Miles returns as Lila from the first movie. This time she kind of plays a more antagonistic role. Norman's kind of the protagonist this time. You kind of sort of feel bad for him, but you understand. You understand the other side too. He killed those people. Nothing can bring them back. Technically he's a monster, and should probably remain behind bars. But at the same time, he was deemed insane. It wasn't really him doing it. It was his other personality. All this stuff. So there's all this stuff going on. And don't dare spoil any of the twists, but I will say that, this is written by Tom Holland, by the way, who directed Fright Night and Child's Play and Thinner as well, so that's pretty cool. It also stars Robert Loggia and a few others. But yeah, very good storyline, good characters. As I said, it's a great follow-up. It's great to see the motel once again, and the big house and everything. Really awesome stuff. So, yeah, I definitely say this is a sequel worth checking out. Now, I will say the plot twists this time, again, I won't give them away, as a spoiler-free review, are a little more surreal and implausible. It's a little more unrealistic than the first film, which was pretty grounded in reality. This time, it's kind of like, what's going on here? There's certain things that happen, it's like certain things couldn't happen if these other things could happen. Certain characters are pretty much depending on the actions of other characters, which they didn't even know what was going to happen. It's really hard to talk about this without spoiling anything. I apologize. But yeah, the main plot twist at the end, which again I don't dare give away, it's like, oh wow, that's pretty clever. They actually retconned it in part 3, rightfully so. I think for good reason. But all the other twists in the movie, certain characters turn out to be not who you think they were, and not what they seem. And it's kind of like it gets a little mixed up. It gets a little confusing. I actually had to watch the movie a second time. When I first saw it years ago, I had to watch it a second time to really get the gist of what was going on. So, the first movie, the twist is very easy to follow. It makes perfect sense. This movie, the plot turns are a little strange. There might be some plot holes there, too, because I think it's a little messy. But still very enjoyable. There's another shower scene, not nearly as iconic or as shocking as in the original movie. And I love how this DVD says it includes the shower scene from the original. Like, people are just gonna buy this just to see that. I think it's funny. Yeah, it does open with footage from the original, which is cool, which is awesome, of course. The shower scene only, I think. I don't even think it shows the ending, but everybody knows the story by now, I'm sure. It's loosely based. The first movie is loosely based on the novel by Robert Bloch, who actually did write a Psycho 2 book, which has nothing to do with this. His Psycho 2 was more like they were making a movie about Norman Bates, and I don't know, I guess some crazy stuff started happening. I guess, I don't know, he went on a killing spree again or something somehow. I'm not even really sure. But anyway, without spoiling anything, I'd say there's definitely a decent follow-up. I highly recommend you check it out. Definitely worth watching. And know that you're probably not gonna enjoy as much of the original. It's not as compelling or as insightful. You're not gonna be moved like you were in the original, which I think was a game changer in the genre. And my life is definitely better for having seen it. Now this one's a little more, maybe more entertaining than the original, but not nearly as in depth or compelling. So, but definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. Yeah, Anthony Perkins is great once again. In fact, I might even go so far as to say the performance he gave in Psycho 2, I'm not going to say it was necessarily better, but I think there was a little more to it. There's a little more meat to it. He became more of a dynamic character. In the first movie, he was kind of just a geeky, socially awkward, kind of somewhat creepy mother's boy. In this one, I feel like we get to know him a lot better. We kind of get to see his side of things. We get to see things through his eyes. He reacts to certain shocking situations, which, and we saw a little bit of that in the first one when, he believed his mother was the one who killed Marion in the shower, and his reaction to that. But in this one, yeah, we see him in certain situations we never thought we would see, which is interesting. And we don't know who the killer is. It's a mystery. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but who knows? Is it Norman? Is it somebody else? Who knows? Is it the angry guy they fired from the hotel? Is it Lila trying to drive him insane? Is it yet another person who hasn't been introduced yet? Is it somebody that we didn't expect? I think it's a very interesting way to go about things. But anyway, Psycho 2 is definitely a welcome addition to the series, and definitely the best sequel by far. I highly recommend you watch them all, except maybe skip the 1998 version, the Gus Van Sant remake with Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche, and Julianne Moore, and Viggo Mortensen. The only reason to watch that is to compare with the original. You know, kind of see like a black and white version, a color version of different actors, which is interesting. But it's pretty much word for word, almost shot by shot. So there's really no reason for it to exist. It's just totally pointless. But yeah, I still love these movies. I recommend you see them all, and know that Psycho 2 is definitely the best out of the sequels, despite some very implausible and unrealistic plot turns and twists that I don't think could be grounded in reality quite like the first film was, but still very interesting. And I think they were kind of trying to outdo the first film's twist. They were kind of like, well, this guy had a twist too, and there's twist upon twist upon twist, and it got after a certain point, it got kind of like, okay, what's going on here? You know, kind of convoluted, but still highly enjoyable. Some great kills, a bigger body count, probably a little more blood too. But I think Psycho 3 is where it really reached like generic slasher territory. That one was all about like the tits and the gore and stuff. It was more like a, it was more like a cheesy B movie, but still good though. But all right, guys, what more can I say? Alfred Hitchcock was a genius, and his legacy will live on. I'm glad they made sequels to his original classic. Loosely based on the novel by Robert Bloch, and that's a good read too, by the way. Definitely check that book out. I actually think the movie is better. One of the rare times where an adaptation surpasses its source material. But anyway, all right, guys. I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching. I feel like there was more I wanted to say about Psycho 2, but I guess I just about covered everything. It's kind of hard to talk about the story without spoiling everything, honestly, but. You know, all I'll say is great settings, great locations. I love the cozy little diner. I love seeing the Bates house once again, the Bates Motel, of course, and seeing a lot more of the Norman Bates character, especially brilliantly played by Anthony Perkins, who pretty much made the role his own. So all in all, it's definitely worth a watch. All right, guys, I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching. Until next time.